Starting with the main event, the welterweight championship. The belt is on the line. The rematch between Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. Leon Edwards sitting at plus 220. Kamaru Usman minus 220. Odds courtesy of BetOpenly, the best fight odds out there. Over under 4.5 rounds. Minus 174 for the over, plus 174 for the under. So they're expecting this one to go all 5 rounds. A rematch of what I would say is the greatest moment in sports history. That controversial, but in my opinion, that's the greatest moment in sports that I've ever witnessed, live at least. Who do you like in the rematch?
Dude, this one's tough, but we were talking before this. I know Kamaru was a heavy favorite in the first fight, and he's still, surprisingly, I mean, maybe not surprisingly, but he's a decent sized favorite here. But I mean, you match up their records. Kamaru's 20-2, Leon's 20-3. Kamaru was on that unbelievable win streak, and he beat basically Colby twice, Jorge twice, Gilbert once, and then Tyron Woodley when he took the belt. But outside of that, he hasn't fought a bunch of amazing competition, and he's gotten by just by mauling people with that wrestling. I mean, Leon, RDA's on his record, Gunnar Nelson, Donald Cerrone, and other than that, it's guys that aren't the best of competition either. And of course, he beat Nate Diaz and knocked out Kamaru. But stylistically, we saw Leon take Kamaru down. The only time Kamaru's ever been taken down inside the UFC. Obviously, he was taken down as the fight went on against Kamaru, and Kamaru looked really good and dominant at times in that fight too. But this one's in London, man. The last one was in Utah, in the mountains at elevation where Kamaru trains. He's used to it. He can deal with that. It was pretty evident Leon was a little more tired than usual heading into that 4th and 5th round. I mean, this one, I feel like he's going to have the energy from the crowd the whole entire fight. Like, if you think the Vegas crowd was, jacked up in this last pay-per-view for the main event, this one will be off the chain. There's no crowd like London. And you got a guy from Birmingham going to be fighting. This one's going to be off the chain, and it's hard to pick against Leon in London after seeing what happened and the unknown of how's Kamaru going to look coming off of his first, knockout loss like this in his career. I mean, it wasn't just like a TKO. Like, he was eyes open, not moving. Kind of, a little scary to see at times. Like, you look down there and Kamaru's got his eyes open, staring at the ceiling, and he's not there at all. One of the nastiest head kick knockouts I've ever seen. Something straight out of a movie. You got Leon's corner screaming at him that you need to pull something out of the fire, jacking him up, and he goes out there and he does that. So, Leon's obviously riding the momentum. Kamaru's riding the revenge. I'm going to pick Leon in this one, man. I like him. I like the odds right now, too. 2-1 dog coming off of a knockout win against the same opponent, going back to your hometown this time. The crowd's going to be hostile against Kamaru. Yeah, give me Leon Edwards here, man.
Yeah, I say rematch because it's technically the trilogy, but the first fight was so long ago, so early in their careers, where you can kind of just throw it out because both guys have improved in ways that they needed to improve. I'm kind of with you, man. I mean, it's so tough because there's a lot of circumstances to take into consideration in this one. With Kamaru's age, he's almost 36. And you look at his reign, we were kind of talking about it before, but his reign as the champion, if you go back and look at it, I mean, he was so dominant throughout it where you didn't really question it. But now, once we've seen him lose in devastating fashion, it's like, can you really look back at it and say, man, that was like, he was facing some great opponents? And quite honestly, I just don't really see it. I mean, taking the belt from Tyron Woodley, who never won a fight again after that, and then fought Colby Covington twice, who many people think hasn't beaten anyone, at the top of the division, which is true. I mean, his best win, I guess, is Tyron Woodley or George Masvidal, however you want to look at it. Maybe RDA. But, I mean, RDA bounces between 170 and 155. So is he really a 170er?
Right.
And then George Masvidal twice, who lost, like, he dominated him in the first fight, and then they give him a second fight and just knocks him out. So, I mean, he already proved he could beat him once. And then Gilbert Burns, which was a good performance. But after that first round, Gilbert looked like he was he was kind of stunned that Kamaru like couldn't finish Kamaru in that first round or anything. So it makes you question like how good really is like Kamaru Usman, and I don't think the skill gap between them is that big. And we look at the odds in the first match. Leon Edwards is like plus 290, and now he's plus 220. So I mean, they're really not making that big of a difference in the line. They're kind of looking at it like I think most people are. Like Kamaru won most of the fight, and it's probably not going to be too much different in this one, but it's completely different. It's so different. There's so much mentality, like so much in the headspace between both guys that makes this fight a lot different. I think Leon went out in that first round of the last fight thinking like I can beat this guy, and he won that first round. And another thing is Leon had waited so long for that moment to like get a chance at the title, and there's a lot that goes into the anxiety of that. And once you finally get that moment and you go out there and you have a great first round, you're all amped up, and then the second round, uh, it, the second round wasn't terrible, but I think he might have gotten tired because of the mental like anxiety about it. You know, people always talk about the mental games that plays into your cardio. You know, if you're super nervous about something, then you're doesn't really matter how good your cardio is. Your mind's going to get so worked up about it that you're going to lose your breath really quickly. I think that kind of played a role into it along with the altitude. Like this is going to be on Leon's home soil. He already knows he can beat this guy. He's seen this guy hurt. Like nobody had seen Kamaru hurt like that. Now he looks at this guy like he's human again. I honestly think Leon has more skills. It's just that Kamaru has that one skill that's hard to stop with the wrestling. But if Leon can, if he can just have a little bit more, it didn't even look like he was getting out skilled. Like when he was losing the rounds, it looked like he was just getting out muscled or out like cardio. You know,
Yeah.
kind of hard
Yep.
to describe that, but it's looked like he just if he just tried more in those rounds, like he probably could have had a better chance at winning those rounds. And then ultimately in that last round, they're like, all right, you gotta lay it all out there. Like this is all you got this last round, and he gets it done. Kind of pulls it out of the fire, but I mean that's what he does. So I it's tough. I mean, the plus money on Leon Edwards, I kind of got to take it. Like it's kind of dog or pass at this point. And the things that make me want to stay away from Kamaru Usman, especially at the chalk money. He's older. He's had injury issues. If you watched any of the previews, he was talking about how he wants to be around his family more, and he was kind of going back and forth between Colorado and Florida for this camp, basically because he wanted to be more around his daughter. His daughter's going to school, and he wanted to be involved in everything like that. And he's got a promotion in Africa that he's working on. So I mean, it's you can kind of tell like the end is near for Kamaru Usman,
Right.
and he's kind of rushing him back after like a really brutal KO. It wasn't that long ago, just last August. Maybe it's just like, all right, I need this rematch. I kind of just want to get it out of the way. I don't want to wait any longer. I just want to get it out of the way. So, maybe it was a fluke and I can beat this guy, but I just want to get it behind me and move past it. If he loses, uh, I don't know. Like, if he loses, where does he go from there?
Retirement. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if he loses, does he stick around and fight a contender? Like, does he fight a Hamza Chimaev? Like, does he really want to do that? Like, nah, I don't think he wants to do that. So if he loses, like, he could very well just be done. Like, or it's very odd because he was talking about fighting like Canelo in boxing before this and then gets knocked out. Haven't heard a peep about that after that. So yeah, man. I think it's kind of dog or pass, which is pretty crazy to say, but with all the circumstances taken into account, I think that's how you play it. I'm going to take Leon.
I like it.